Greetings out there to whoever finds themselves watching this, as I'm going to post it on a few different groups, because I think it's an interesting thing to post. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, and I'm sure others will probably be as well. So the other day, I was going through my studio stuff, and I stumbled upon this guy right here, my very first silicone kit, and it occurred to me that this thing is really old. I mean, we're talking about 10 years old, 10 plus years old. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if this will cure. I really don't know. I've used materials that are a little bit past their expiration in the past, and they've worked, but 10 years seems like a really long time, especially for something like platinum silicone that has such a short shelf life. So I'm gonna do this and we're gonna figure out if this stuff will cure or not. I'm gonna put some into a mold here, and then I'm just gonna put some down onto a base and just let it cure as is. I also have a batch that's tinted with flocking and pigment, and then one that's just not. It's just going to be clear, just to see if adding anything to it affects that as well. So let's get going, and as we cure, we'll talk a little bit more about some of this stuff. Now this is going to be an unedited, just completely it is what it is video. So if I make mistakes, anything like that, you're just going to get it. I'm not going to take the time to edit this. All right, so first what we'll do, just getting a little bit of Vaseline. I'm going to brush it onto our mold. Vaseline is probably not something that I would be using if I was trying to actually run this and get pieces to apply. I understand that it's not really an ideal material for this, but just because I'm trying to get this job done really quick, it's going to be what we're going to do. I have my A and B already pre-mixed, pigmented, weighed out, so don't have to worry about any of that. We're just going to mix it on up and get going. Alright, first we'll just do the untinted. Something I noticed is the A seems to have some chunks in it. It seems to be little globules. I'm not sure if that just came from a piece at the top that dried out, or if it's affecting the silicone. B, I am mixing it into a separate cup. I didn't weigh it out. I guess I could have, especially considering that the material is so old, but I figured it doesn't matter. I usually just do it by eye, get okay results. This mixed up. All right, and obviously there's going to be a lot of air bubbles because I didn't pour that high, but when I do the mold here, I will definitely pour it high so I don't have as much of that problem. I want to try at least get a decent looking cast if I can. All right. And then we're just going to do this one up, the pigmented. It's always good to be meticulous about scraping out all the material, getting everything in there, but I'm not going to go too crazy here. And I totally was going to do that into that cup. I didn't, but we can still just go ahead and transfer it. Like I said, just working too quick and not paying attention. Really no big deal. It's just good to mix it in a separate cup to ensure that you get a good even mixture without having the sides with part A and part B not really mixed in. For anybody who doesn't know, who doesn't do this, I figure many people watching this, some people watching this might very well know that, but all right. Once I get this mixed up really good, we'll get it into this mold. Really right here would be good to be mixing really gently and not trying to get a lot of air into it, especially when you're trying to get a really usable piece, because you don't want bubbles. And I do not have a degasser, and that's okay. It's not really necessary for something like this anyway. You can just do a high pour out the bubbles. And this is obviously not an extremely technical how-to video. I'm just kind of curious to see if this material will work, and you know, there's plenty of info out there for people who want to learn how to do this stuff more. Try to get a nice thin stream. I'm gonna over pour it. Definitely mixed up too much material, but I did that also. We're gonna pour a little of that on this guy. I'm going to talk about all of this in just a minute here as these cure up. Get this on. I made two mistakes. That guy is supposed to be on, it doesn't, am I just not getting it on there right? Ah, okay. That's what I thought. Okay, so get on, pressure on it. Thought I had made a mistake there, but I didn't. We're good. Okay. You could put weight on that if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I don't know if flipping it over is really a great idea either, but I did that just because I wanted to talk about that. All right, so now we wait. Probably going to take about 5 minutes here approximately. And while we do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we just did and the materials and how I am not an expert, so this is not pigmented probably properly at all. I just wanted to get some pigment and material in there just to see if it would cure. I don't have a lot of experience tinting and flocking silicone, so but it is what it is. This is what I'm using. It's Smooth On Skin Tight, distributed by Reynolds Advanced Materials. It looks like it's a 1 pound kit, so you get 1 pound of A, 1 pound of B. And I bought this, like I said, quite some time ago. And I had initially bought it partially for making into prosthetics, putting into molds like this, but mostly to do on the skin buildups and stuff like that. With the addition of Thivex. Okay, so basically what happened there was my phone ran out of storage, and I feared that that was going to happen actually. I decided to go for it and no go. So I lied at the beginning. You are going to get at least a edited clip together video, and since my iPhone is full and I don't really have anything I can dump off to fix that at the moment, I decided to just go onto my iPad. All right, so as I was saying, you'll get that weird cut and then this explanation. Back to the 5X. So this stuff is supposed to thicken it up. So like I was saying, I initially bought it to do on the skin buildups and stuff like that, and no matter how much 5X I added, I just could never get to thicken up enough to work. It always just went like this onto the skin. It just pooled down, and at the very last minute you had a short time to work it and stuff like that, but overall it was really challenging. And I used it a little bit, but I also used it in some of these molds for prosthetics that I used a few different projects, but that's about it. And then I put it in this kit right here and forgot about it until pretty recently here. I added red and blue flocking to the one that's tinted along with the Silk Pig. Definitely over tinted, as you can see. No doubt about that. I don't practice makeup really that much anymore often, and I use silicone a little bit, but just didn't have too much experience. So if you were doing this, you'd probably use a different material from a mold. It was a porous mold such as plaster, which is what that is. It's just an Ultracal 30 mold. It's not really ideal for silicone. It works. There's better materials out there. Vaseline, like I used the Vaseline to release it. Not really the most ideal material to use. It works. And it's, any other mistakes I made in there mixing, I tried to do it as accurately as you should when you're doing it, but like I said, I'm just no pro, I'm just a novice, and I just really wanted to see if this cured, and I think we're actually ready to see what's going on here, and it actually yeah, I mean, sure looks like it cured to me. So I totally ripped that. I'll be a little bit more careful removing the piece out of the mold. It's kind of sticky. Might be a little stickier than it normally is. And you can see that flocking in there. For those who don't know, flocking is like it's actually like a material. You can see they use it in crafting sometimes. It's that stuff that covers that they use on cards and stuff like that. And what it does is it gives a breakup to the silicone and creates little speckles. And obviously you have lots of reds and blues in you, so that's what you get. And I don't really know if it's done totally properly. I don't know if I'm getting a really good shot of it either. But anyway, let's get that guy out of there because that's not really as yeah. I mean, it seems it's pretty much just cured. And then powder this. I'm going to powder the prosthetic, but I haven't powdered it yet. It seems tackier than normal, but I mean, it's definitely cured. All right, now for the mold, and we'll have to be careful with this, and I'm going to put you down for a second. One thing I forgot was the powder, to powder that. I wasn't really thinking ahead there, but oh, I didn't brush it. Okay. Sorry that this video turned into a little bit of a mess. Had to improvise after my phone died. Alright, so I'm going to try to do this very gently. I'm going to try to... Let's see what I can do here. Again, I apologize for this. This isn't exactly the way this was supposed to go. But that's what you do when you do it and don't edit. Okay. So, big thing will be not breaking it. Silicone is, yes, very, very delicate. So, it's definitely, okay, that's not really ideal. That's, like I said, I mean, I'm not exactly doing this professionally or anything like that. If I would have powdered this before, those edges wouldn't have rolled up. But nonetheless, if I can, here we go. It looks like it got really thin in there. But this mold is far from perfect as well for this. You really want a way cleaner mold. This was like the first set of molds that I ever made. Or maybe the second, whatever. But actually, where the heck? Okay. It actually cured. All right, well, I guess there's the answer to that. I really didn't think that it would, and it sure did, and it actually feels perfect after I powdered it. Put this piece up. Yeah, I mean, all right, well, I guess that just about ends it. I'm not really going to keep you any longer. 10-year-old silicone. 10-year-old smooth on skin tight is curing just perfectly for me. I never would have guessed. All right. Sorry that video got jumbled up and the cinematography probably got a little reckless at the end there, but I hope you enjoyed figuring this out with me.